There comes a moment in life, subtle, quiet, almost unnoticeable, when you look at yourself and realize you don't recognize who you've become. Not in a dramatic, cinematic way, not with tears or panic, but with a slow, heavy awareness, an ache, a distance, a strange sense that the person living your life is not exactly you. Part 31 is about that disappearance, the quiet erosion of self that happens long before anyone notices, even you. It begins with a truth most people never speak. You don't lose yourself all at once. You lose yourself in tiny, almost invisible compromises. You stop saying what you really think. You stop expressing what you really feel. You swallow your opinions. You silence your needs. You dim your enthusiasm to avoid being too much. You pretend things don't bother you. You stay quiet to avoid conflict. You adjust your personality to match the room. You become who people expect because it's easier than disappointing them. And one day you wake up and you're gone. Part 31 goes deeper. Losing yourself doesn't start with tragedy. It starts with exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, psychological exhaustion, the exhaustion of constantly performing, pleasing, adapting, surviving. You spent years being who everyone needed, the strong one, the responsible one, the calm one, the forgiving one, the accommodating one, the one who absorbs the impact of everyone else's chaos. When you're always holding life together, you have no time to hold yourself. Part 31 reveals the core wound. You didn't lose yourself. You abandoned yourself because you had no other choice. People taught you that your needs were inconvenient. People taught you that your emotions were too much. People taught you that expressing yourself led to conflict. People taught you that love must be earned through silence, compliance, or sacrifice. So you adapted, beautifully, skillfully, painfully. You became the version of yourself that was easiest for others, not for you. Part 31 continues. There is a particular kind of loneliness that happens when you don't feel at home inside yourself. You can be surrounded by people, even loved, and still feel profoundly isolated. Because no one is connected to you. They're connected to the character you learned to play. And the tragedy? You played it so well that even you started believing it. Part 31 digs deeper. At some point in your life, you learned that being yourself wasn't safe. Maybe you were mocked for your passions. Maybe you were punished for your emotions. Maybe your voice was ignored. Maybe your boundaries were violated. Maybe you were rejected when you showed vulnerability. Maybe love was withdrawn when you expressed your truth. So your mind did what it had to do. It hid the real you. Self-protection masquerading as self-erasure. Part 31 reveals a painful truth. People who lose themselves are often the most empathetic, the most loyal, the most emotionally intelligent, because they train themselves to read others more than they read themselves. You learn to anticipate others' needs before they spoke. You learn to sense emotional shifts. You learn to avoid triggering someone's anger or disappointment. You learn to keep peace at the cost of your own peace. You learn to prioritize others because prioritizing yourself never felt allowed. Your empathy became your escape and your prison. Part 31 goes deeper still. There is a grief that comes with losing yourself. Not a grief for someone else, but for who you were supposed to be. You grieve the version of yourself who was expressive before you became guarded. You grieve the version who was hopeful before life hardened you. You grieve the version who was bold before fear tamed you. You grieve the version who trusted before betrayal rewired your heart. You grieve the version who dreamed freely before practicality suffocated your imagination. How do you explain that you miss someone who still lives inside you? How do you explain that you feel homesick for a version of yourself you barely remember? Part 31 continues. You didn't just lose your identity, you lost your voice. You lost the ability to say, I want. You lost the safety to say, I hurt. You lost the confidence to say, I deserve better. You lost the courage to say, no. And every unspoken truth became a brick in the wall, separating you from yourself. Part 31 uncovers something deeper. You stopped recognizing yourself because you've been in survival mode for too long. Survival mode does not allow authenticity. Survival mode does not allow softness. Survival mode does not allow emotional messiness. Survival mode does not allow self-discovery. Survival mode replaces identity with function. You stop being a person and become a role. The supporter, the provider, the healer, the fixer, the strong one, the reliable one. But none of those roles reflect your actual self. Part 31 reveals the truth you've been avoiding. You didn't become empty, you became silent. And silence feels like emptiness when your truth has nowhere to go. Part 31 goes even deeper. You stopped recognizing yourself because you outgrew the version of you that your past required. But you haven't yet met the version of you that your future will require. You're in the in-between. No longer who you were, not yet who you will become. Identity crisis is not failure, it's transformation. Part 31 reaches its emotional center. The real reason you don't recognize yourself is because your soul is rejecting the life you built in survival. Your inner self is asking for more now. More truth, more freedom, more boundaries, more authenticity, more depth, more love that doesn't require self-erasure, more life that belongs to you. You're not lost. You're being called back to yourself. Part 31 ends with what you need to hear most. You will recognize yourself again, not by returning to who you were, but by becoming who you were always meant to be. Your voice is still there. Your passion is still there. Your spirit is still there. Your intuition is still there. Your joy is still there. Your identity is still there. Not dead, not broken, just buried under years of survival. But buried things grow when given light. You are not disappearing. You are re-emerging. You are returning to yourself, slowly, quietly, beautifully. And when you meet yourself again, you will realize you were never truly gone, just waiting for the moment you felt safe enough to come back.